Welcome back from the break. Africa offers significant opportunities for investment, growth, and development thanks to its vibrant population, productive economy, and natural resources. That's according to Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, who made the remarks to Chinese Premier Li Qiang during a bilateral meeting on Beijing on Wednesday. Tinubu praised the Forum on China-Africa cooperation for strengthening economic ties between Africa and China and called for a strategic focus on areas of collaboration to ensure the partnership remains mutually beneficial. China's Premier Li said Beijing is committed to delivering on the agreements reached under the newly established comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries.
For me, as a Nigerian, and equally as the chairman of the ECOWAS, I'm happy that the strategic partnership being promoted is acceptable to both sides. And this is the only way to go. Africa is a huge opportunity for economic development. As a great people, I'm willing to partner for progress and development. What is lacking will be the focus of the FOCAC and the areas that we can collaborate to make the relationship mutually beneficial to all of us.
Victor Okhai, Global Affairs Analyst, is here to talk to us about the President's visit to China. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday. Well,
thank you for having me.
All right, Mr. Okhai, I would like you to assess the President's visit to China so far, especially the elevation of Nigeria-China ties to that of a comprehensive strategic partnership. What does this mean for Nigeria?
Well, it can mean one of two things. For us, obviously, we're always looking for new partners and new partnerships that will enhance our socio-economic alliances and strengths and the like. So I think that is positive. And when you consider the fact that BRICS is a new bride right now, everyone is looking away from the dollar situation. And China is a very important partner in the BRICS partnership. It could be one of those. Things that will soften the ground for us to step upon into joining the BRICS states. But more importantly, China right now, as you know, is like the manufacturer to the rest of the world, and they're a model. They, at a point in time where they had the largest population in the world, just like us here in Nigeria, and so there's quite a lot that we have in common. And they're also, if you like, regional partners in their own right, just as we are here in ECOWAS and in the African region. So the partnership is good, and considering the fact that China is, how do I put it now, a very important development partner, especially for African countries, in the sense that we've obtained quite a number of loans from them without the stringent conditions that are attached to such loans, such as you get from the West, right, through the IMF, the World Bank, and the rest of them. And they're also ever willing to help and support in infrastructural development. So taking it to the next level is something that I think would be great for us. But at the same time, there's no free lunch. There must be something in it for China, and it must mean something for them to be able to do that. Time will reveal that, but maybe in the course of the program, I'll be able to look at what some of those interests may be.
And my question to you, Victor, is I want to know what led to this trip? What were the main outcomes of this meeting? And how do you think they would impact Nigeria and Africa as a whole?
Well, in terms of what may have led to it, obviously, the immediate trigger I may not know, but constantly we are looking for new partnerships, and at the diplomatic level, conversations would have been going on, about the need for such visits. Nigeria is a very important partner on the continent, and so is China too in the global scheme of things. So all of that discussion would have taken place. But if you look at the nitty-gritty of the agreements, for instance, and the MOU that was signed, there are a few key points there that, for me, are of interest. The Belt and Road Initiative is one of such initiatives, and China seeks to continue to expand its inroad. It's producing quite a lot right now. And obviously they need outlets for what they're producing across oceans, across routes that they are creating, something that, Nigeria should have done a long time ago, across the West African region, and also, the rest of Africa. We had our Trans-Saharan route, just like they had the Silk Road from way, way, way back, which they have revived and modernized now. I don't want to believe that there's an immediate trigger. Some might say, okay, is it what happened recently that caused it? I doubt, although that can be discussed under the table because of, to mitigate whatever embarrassment might come out of that. But we're constantly seeking, both partners are constantly seeking inroads, to obviously boost their economies. And the best two partners for this in Africa, Nigeria is a very important partner, and globally you cannot ignore China.
Well, Dr. Okhai, talking about what happened recently where it seems a Chinese firm is on a seizure spree, shouldn't we be a bit wary, of developing these so-called ties that some people have likened to slavery or a second colonialism of Nigeria or Africa as a whole, this time by China?
Thank you very much for that question. This is where we must bring our best and brightest to the table. This is where the president cannot go and just speak on behalf of Nigerians without the support of, knowledgeable aides, people who are good at diplomacy, economics, finance, and, and all the like, and law. International law and international relations. This is very, very important because it is at times like this you just sell out. I'll give you a small example. I was wondering why we were, after signing the treaty on this nuclear proliferation and all that a couple of years ago, why we are now looking at nuclear energy. I don't think that that it has attendant consequences. But my sneaky feeling is that the Chinese have been exploring, our mining sites all of this while, both legally and illegally. And I have a sneaky feeling that we have some uranium here, but I do think that we have much, much more than we know. And these are uranium and plutonium are very key in nuclear, whether weapon or energy or whatever. So I have a sneaky feeling that they must have a deeper knowledge of something below our ground that we may not even have, and so they will rope us into signing an agreement now that would favor them to the exclusion of all else, because they can already see the future. But time will tell whether I'm right or wrong. The Belt and Road Initiative, I've talked about that, that's okay. But I'm also wondering why we're looking at media. I mean, NTAs, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know why we want to go into media partnership with them. Yes, there's a Star Times partnership. For me, that's enough. But to begin to bring Chinese media here, then it means, therefore, that the propaganda and element is going to come in, because if there's anything you must control is the media, and I don't know that they have the best, or they are the model for media, that we want to emulate, whether in terms of technology or in terms of techniques and all that. But the president must know something that I don't know, or the Chinese know exactly what they want, which we probably are not suspecting. But to drag along an almost moribund NTA and say you want to partner with China or talk about media as part of the MOU, for me personally, I don't know what that brings to the table for us. So I can understand other initiatives maybe, but if I were the president or to have been on that team, there are things I think we should be talking about at this point in time. One of the biggest problems we have in this country today is that our raw materials, more than 80% of them are lost before they even get to the market. I'm talking about agricultural produce. And then we also have other raw materials as well that are just being frittered away. China is a major producer and of machineries and all that. Can we not begin to talk about machinery, talk about industrialization by bringing in machinery into this country and then getting them to transfer technology towards here? These are the kind of things I would have expected the president to be talking about, so that we can begin to convert our raw materials into finished products ready for export here. We have export trading zones here all over the place. I don't know what they are for. They are mostly populated by Chinese companies. I don't know how many Nigerian companies, other than maybe Dangote, for instance, that is doing anything in the export processing zone. I would expect things that will really bring value, that will transform our economy. It's not to say, like I say, they must do something I don't. So I can't criticize, but I wish that those were parts of the elements. And I'm hoping that they are not going there to ask for more loans. We already have more than enough, and that whatever partnerships we're going into, I hope that what just happened recently will be a lesson. We will take our best legal brains, international law and international relations experts, our diplomats, our economists, our finance gurus, to be in the team, to sit on the table and listen. I must get proper Nigerians who are interpreters of Chinese to do the interpretation for us and not rely on them to interpret for us. Again, I'm here. I don't know what's going on there, so I can't speak for them, but I'm hoping that some of these things are being done. We should trust them. They are our representatives.
You mentioned in your last response about China populating the industry. Some critics argue that China's growing influence in Africa could lead to economic dependence. How do you view this relationship? Is it more of a partnership, or are there more risks of a new form of economic colonialism?
Okay, so you've brought that about 2 or 3 times, so I guess it's important. Let me address it finally now, in greater details. So you see, there's nothing wrong with a partnership with China, but what is wrong is corruption among politicians. If you check the countries that are in trouble right now with China, it is because of corrupt politicians. When you have corrupt politicians, they go there and they're interested in their personal interests. They're not interested in tomorrow. They're not interested in what comes to the country. The only thing that matters to them is if it's a loan, bring the loan, they just share the money and that's it. Or if there's any business coming in, they want a share of it, they want to be partners in it. That's all that matters to them. The day we begin to get, and I'm hoping that's where we are now, that soon we'll be there, people in government who would, think about our tomorrow, not mortgage our present, our today for tomorrow. We have no reason to be afraid of China. We're both sovereign nations and we can get the very best. But the thing I fear is if you have corrupt politicians negotiating, you'll be selling the very soul of their nations. We have seen it. I don't want to mention African countries here, but we know some countries right now where even the Chinese are manning their police force. They've taken over their ports and, they've taken over literally everything, So Nigeria, we may say, is too big to be hard like that, but it will depend. If the people who are negotiating are sincere and they're not corrupt, we will get the very best. We can deal with anyone. So the issue of no colonialism, they have a right to sell their culture the same way that we have a right to sell our culture. After all, we're doing the same thing with our Nollywood movies and our music that is permeating across the globe. That, for me, is some sort of cultural neo-colonialism as well. We may not be selling our languages, but we see our culture, our food and all that. We are selling it across the world, even without government help. If only government can be deliberate, then it would have been even better for us. That's on the one hand. But the Chinese are more deliberate. Why are they creating the Silk Road, the maritime belts and the Silk and Road belts, road and belt initiatives? Why are they doing that? Or belt and road initiatives? They're doing that because they're producing so much and they need infrastructure to be able to move out these things. okay? Which is something we're not even really thinking about here. When you produce, these goods that you produce, where is the market? Where will they go to? But by building these roads, building these ports, and creating these partnerships, you are creating a market for your production, you know? And if you don't have anything to offer, then you become a dumping ground. Both of, and in talking about neocolonialism, you're talking about the media is a very strong one. They're teaching Chinese here now. Nothing wrong with it. It's good. I don't have a problem with it. But now they'll be talking about media. I don't know what business we have going into a media partnership in a 5-point MOU. Media is like what it is, like almost 2 items. I wonder what is it about. That's where the beginning of neocolonialism starts, because you get the mind first. When you get the mind, then you already have the entire body.
Dr. Victor Okhai, Global Affairs Analyst, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.